everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is August 25th, 2025, and I have good news in regards to the Spotify Camp Nou. Also, Barcelona considering a shocking, surprising last-minute signing during these final days of the summer transfer market. And finally, Barcelona currently eyeing and tracking a River Plate sensation. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News Live Podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering any questions, and getting a discussion going live. This is why podcast days are my favorite days, because, well, I get to do this. I get to talk to you guys live. Now, for those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. If you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to go Kids, Kid Bag, or Fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. And click any of those links, you get access to offers, deals, free money. Like in the case of Bet Us, I think you get $150 free to bet. So if you click the links, you'll be helping the channel, but you'd also be helping yourself. Now, of course, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and let's dive right into the news. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have good news in regards to the Spotify Camp Nou. Now, there's a lot to break down here. There's a lot of information about the Camp Nou. So as you know, the first segment of the podcast is usually multiple bits of news, but this, well, it's going to be multiple bits of news, but all about the Camp Nou. Starting with the bad news. Let's get the bad news out of the way, and then we'll talk about the good news. Now, as you know, Barcelona's plan is to play at the Camp Nou during this season, starting the weekend of September 14th. That is the first home match of the season, which will be the fourth fixture. As you know, Barcelona requested from La Liga to have the first three fixtures played away to give Barcelona more time to get the Camp Nou ready. So the fourth fixture, which is on September 14th weekend, will be the first home match of the season against Valencia, and that's when Barcelona hope to return to the Camp Nou. Now, so far, Barcelona have not obtained the permits necessary to go back to the Camp Nou, so they have come up with a plan B. The plan B is to play at the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic, which is where Barcelona have played the last two seasons. Barcelona have already secured an agreement with the city to play in Montjuic until February in case, again, the Camp Nou is not ready. Now, what's the problem with this agreement? Is that the agreement would begin after the September 14th match against Valencia. Why? Because on September 12th, there's a Post Malone concert at the Olympic Stadium. I didn't even know Post Malone was still relevant and people still went to his concert. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So, because the concert is 2 days before the Valencia match, that would not be enough time to get the pitch ready for a match. So, if the Camp Nou is not ready and Barcelona need to play at the Olympic Stadium, they cannot play at the Olympic Stadium the Valencia match, which would leave Barcelona without a stadium, right? The Camp Nou would not be ready. The Olympic Stadium would not be available. So, where will Barcelona play? Now, one of the options that Barcelona were considering was asking La Liga to play against Valencia away at Mestalla instead of at home, which is what we're supposed to do. Now, La Liga have come back and said no. So that's the bad news. La Liga have rejected Barcelona's request to have the match against Valencia played away instead of home. Why? Because per La Liga rules, once the draw is made, once the calendar is set up, you cannot switch things around, right? La Liga already complied with Barcelona's request, and they allowed them to play the first three matches away. But now the calendar is done, the draw is done, everything is done. La Liga's like, sorry, it's all scheduled, it's set in stone. We cannot change it and have you play away instead of home. So that option is out the window. Now, what's the other option in case the Camp Nou is not ready? is, of course, playing at Montilivi, which is Girona Stadium. And it happens that weekend, Girona are playing away. So that is a possibility. But of course, for that, Barcelona are going to have to reach out to Girona. They're going to have to figure out an agreement because Barcelona are going to have to rent out the stadium, pay some money to Girona, etc., etc. That has not happened yet, but it is an option since Montilivi is, a decent-sized stadium. It's still pretty small, but much bigger than, let's say, the Johan Cruyff Stadium, which only houses or only seats 5,000 to 6,000 people. And, of course, will be much more bigger playing at the Camp Nou with no audience. So that's still an option. Barcelona have not decided what to do yet, but just know that the playing away option is gone. Now, from that bad news, we move on to the good news. Because the good news is that, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have officially received the certificate of construction from the company Limac, or the completion of construction. Now, what is this certificate? When you hire a company to build something, the company builds it. When that construction is ready, the building company gives you a certificate saying, hey, we're done. We built everything. You're good to go. Then once you have that certificate, you go to the city and be like, look, my building is done. Here's a certificate. Here's proof that the building is done. Once the city gets that certificate, says, okay, we're going to inspect it. We're going to go make sure that the building is truly done and you're not just making shit up. And of course, they're going to make sure that the construction is up to code, right? So Barcelona have received the first step, big step, to return to the Camp Nou, which is a certificate of completion, where Limac is telling Barcelona, hey, the construction is done. You're good to go. So now Barcelona will submit that to the city. They say, look, construction is done. And then the city will go and inspect that construction to make sure that it's up to code and that it can receive or house people or, host people, not house, host people in a safe manner. Now, of course, this certificate is only for 2 sections of the stadium. The Gol Sud, which is the section behind the south goal, and Tribuna, which is the main section, which is on the side of the stadium. Because as you might recall, Barcelona realized that the 2 rings of the stadium, which they hope to return to, were not going to be ready by the September 14th weekend. So instead, they reached an agreement with the city to return in phases. The first phase is called 1A, which will be the return to just that section behind the south goal and the main side section, which together can only seat 27,000 people. So Barcelona have received a certificate for those 2 sections, saying that those 2 sections are done, are built, are ready. They've submitted it to the city. And now tomorrow, Tuesday, August 26th, the city will send their inspectors to make sure that A, yes, construction is done, and B, that construction is up to code. Now, depending on this inspection, and there's going to be other inspections as well, if they all go well, then Barcelona could receive the permits to return to the Camp Nou, again, only for those 2 sections, which can only seat 27,000 people. The second phase will be phase 1B, where the capacity would go to 45,000. And then the third phase will be 1C, which will be the full 62,000 people, which is the full 2 rings. And of course, the stadium will continue to be built. Once the 3rd ring is ready, it will be able to seat 100,000 people. So great news, because Barcelona have received the certificate of completion. Tomorrow, the city will inspect the stadium. We'll see what the city says. And of course, I'll be here to tell you what the results of that inspection is. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. If you haven't hit the bell button, make sure you do so you can get a notification when a new video is updated. Now, not only is this important because, we need to go back to our home stadium because it's our home, plus it's going to generate money, but it's also important for UEFA. Remember, August 28th, which is only 3 days away, that's Thursday. That's the deadline for Barcelona to let UEFA know which stadium we're going to be playing at. Because whatever stadium Barcelona tells UEFA we're going to be using, that's the stadium you're stuck with until the group stages are over in January, end of January, beginning of February. So if tomorrow the city inspectors go and say, all right, cool, you're good to go, you can use the stadium, then Barcelona on the 28th can tell UEFA, yes, we're playing at the Camp Nou and we're good to go. If not, Barcelona are considering playing the Champions League at Montjuic and La Liga at the Camp Nou, or at least that's what reports are stating. I don't see that as feasible or viable because it's very expensive to run two stadiums. But let's hope that tomorrow the city inspectors will say, you're good to go. We can return to the Camp Nou for La Liga. We can tell UEFA on the 28th, yes, the stadium is ready so we can play there. Let's hope that because, again, not only is it our home stadium, it's our fortress, but we need that financially speaking because returning to the stadium would mean, of course, increased revenue for Barcelona. And here's a big one. It would also mean the return to the 1-1 rule. As you might recall, Barcelona sold the rights to the VIP seats, some VIP seats at the Camp Nou for 100 million euros. Barcelona's auditor, Crow, said you cannot count those 100 million as revenue because the seats are not built. Now the seats are built. The auditor is still saying you can't count it because, of course, even though the seats are built, you still can't use them because the stadium is not ready. But if Barcelona can return to the stadium this season, then the auditor will issue the report saying, okay, you can count those 100 million euros, and therefore Barcelona will be able to return to the 1-1 rule. So this is huge. This is huge. This not only means returning to the Camp Nou for La Liga and hopefully for the Champions League, and hopefully mean making more money, but it would also mean returning to the 1-1 rule, which will be very important to register the players that we have yet to register, including Gerard Martin, Wojciech Szczesny, and Rooney Bardarji. I finally learned how to pronounce his name. Anyways, that is the news in regards to the Spotify Camp Nou. Let me know you guys' thoughts, and then after this, we're going to talk about Jean Virgili. But let's head to the comment section to see what everyone is saying. And I see already donations from Choo-Choo. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity and for supporting the channel. But Choo-Choo says, hello, Mo. Hope you had a great day, another Barcelona stadium drama. Amen, my friend. I did have a good day, a very busy day at work. This is why I'm starting the podcast a little bit late. But nonetheless, I'm here ready to give you the news. And yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned this about the whole stadium drama because today one of my friends posted in a group chat that we have a meme that said, when you're a Barcelona fan, you learn about accounting, construction, registration, financial fair play. It said like it truly is more than just a club, and I was like, yeah, it really is because you do end up learning about all these things. Not to mention accounting, since the whole 1-1 rule and how you can count profit or not. But thank you, my friend, for your donation. I hope you too are having a great day. I hope everybody watching is having a great day, and hopefully with the next bits of news, your day will get even better and better. Now let's say what else people are saying. Samuel. It's like Samuel, but with an I. Samuel says, what a signing, but how will he be registered? I think we need to sell Fermin this window for 50+ mil. Chill, my friend. I got you. Don't get ahead of yourself. I got you. I'll tell you who it is, and I'll tell you what the plan is. Raul Davidson says, hi, Mo. It has really been a while been on your podcast, but thank God I catch up with you today. Keep up the good work, and God bless you. God bless you, my friend, and thank you. Thank you for coming to the podcast. Thank you for watching and for your comment. And my man Cornell says, Mo, good evening, bro. Just got back, and they got me on the overnight shift. Thankfully, I'll be up for the podcast. Really hoping for some good news from the Camp Nou. Bizka Barca, my friend. It's good to have you in a chat second. My man Cornell is serving. He's proudly serving his country in Germany right now. So thank you for your service, my friend, and thank you for watching the podcast and for your comment. And Bizka Michael says, so is it good to say to cancel the dates I have planned to head to the Spotify Camp Nou to catch a Clasico game in May and schedule something else? Actually, no, and I'll tell you why. Because if we don't return to the Camp Nou this September 14th, the agreement with the city for the Montjuic Stadium would only be until February, which means that even if we don't return this February, sorry, this September, we should be back at the Camp Nou by February, or at least that's the plan. So, and I hope it is because otherwise that would mean 3 seasons outside of the Camp Nou, even though it was only supposed to be half a season. Remember, but no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Plus, look, even if we're still at the um, Olympic Stadium by May, which again, that's a big, big if, because even if we don't make it back by September, we should be back by May. But even if that doesn't happen, I mean, look, you're still seeing Barca, you're still seeing the players. Sure, the Olympic Stadium is not that great. I've been to it. I've been to the Camp Nou as well. Sure, it's not as good, but look, at the end of the day, you're still seeing FC Barcelona. You're still in the city of Barcelona, which is a pretty cool city to visit. You know, you can have great food. You can still go to the museum, Barca Museum. You can go to the Camp Nou store. And again, you can still see the team, even if it's at a different stadium. Sure, it's not as good, but hey, it's better than nothing. All right, let's see. What else? What else? Jose Fernandez says, Mo, 6 days left to register Rooney. What are you thinking about this? If tomorrow, again, tomorrow is going to be huge. If the city inspects the stadium and says, hey, you're good to go, then we can be achieving the 1-1 rule, hopefully, and be able to register him. Now, we are racing against the clock, big time, because the market closes on September 1st at, midnight, or, I guess August 31st, right at midnight. When it becomes September 1st, that's when it closes. So we only have a few days left. So hopefully, we could do it by then. Otherwise, we are in trouble. Let's see. What else? John Williams says, hi, Mo. Thank you for the relentless efforts in keeping us updated with latest authentic Barca news. I love the way you say, my name is Mo. Guys, hit the like button. Stop moving. Like Vinicius Jr. That's hilarious. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for your comment and for your support. And yes, hit the like button. The like button goes a long, long way in helping this channel grow. When you hit the like button, it prompts the YouTube algorithm to recommend the channel to people who've never seen it. So it's actually more important than the subscribe button, right? Subscribe button is people who already seen a channel. They subscribe. The like button, it ends up, getting more subscribers. And it's free. It takes a second. All you have to do is hit the button. They're not going to ask you for your credit card. They're not going to ask you to sell your mother or to donate your firstborn child. All you have to do is just hit it. It's free. It's done. You help this channel. Let's do one more comment, and then we'll go back to the next bit of news. But Suf says, by the way, isn't it clear after Mbappe's first goal that La Liga will do anything to help Madrid win the end? That was clear foul by Tchouaméni before the goal. Honestly, I don't know because I did not see the match. I did not see the highlights. I did not see any of it. So I do not know. I will say this, no. Madrid have scored 4 goals so far this season in 2 matches, and 3 out of those 4 are Mbappe goals. And I mentioned that because that's a big deal. That's a big deal because it means that Mbappe has, has been fully activated. And we already saw that during the second half of last season. First half of the season, Mbappe was kind of like just not there. It seemed like it was like, a waste of a signing. But that's understandable. It was a new team, a new league. He was still getting adapted to his new teammates, his new league, everything. But during the second half, he went off, and he ended up being a top scorer of La Liga. And this La Liga season, he's starting again on fire. Again, 3 out of the 4 goals that Real Madrid have scored are his. So that's scary. That's something we need to worry about. Now, I don't think there's a conspiracy out there that La Liga are trying to help Madrid win. I don't think that's such a thing. If I truly believe that, I would never watch La Liga again. Why would I? If we are already if we have a predetermined winner before the season begins. So I don't believe that there's a conspiracy out there. Again, I wouldn't watch. I wouldn't bother even having a channel. But obviously there are biases, right? People, when most of the people in power are Madridistas, when most of the refs are Madridistas, of course they're gonna have an inner bias, whether conscious or subconscious bias towards Madrid. That is obvious. But to believe that there's an actual conspiracy where La Liga are actively working against the Barcelona, I wouldn't bother watching. But anyways, as far as Mbappe, we should be worried. Mbappe has been fully activated. He does scare me, but here's a good thing. Madrid does it, right? Because Madrid right now, they're showing that they're an absolute disaster. They're a shit team. So Mbappe scares me. Madrid don't. To put it more in like Barca perspective, this is like Barcelona under Setien or under Koeman, where you would think, okay, Messi scares me, but Barca don't, right? So this is kind of the same thing. Mbappe scares me, but Madrid don't, because they're an absolute disaster. Now, if Madrid finds their stride, then we should be worried, because now you got to fear the team and the player, Mbappe and Madrid. But thankfully, that's not the case. But I got to give props where props is due, you know. Mbappe, he's on fire, man. To pretend that he's not and it's just La Liga helping him, that would be a little bit disingenuous. But anyways, let's get back to the news, because we do have to talk about, let me move this comment, Jean Virgili, because ladies and gentlemen, Jean Virgili completely went off during the match against Flamengo. Now, if you don't know what match I'm talking about, the Juvenil A, the Barcelona under 19. I always confused if it's under 19 or under 18. Anyways, the Juvenil A, of course, won the UEFA Youth Champions League. So they are the European champions. Flamengo, on the other hand, won the Brazilian team, Flamengo. They're under 20 team. They won the Libertadores Youth Championship. Libertadores is the equivalent of the Champions League in South America. And of course, they have a youth version, just like the Champions League has a youth version. So Flamengo youth team won the Libertadores. Barcelona Juvenil won the Youth Champions League. So they had a match in Brazil at the historic stadium, the Maracanã, where both teams face each other. Kind of like to see who is, the champion of the champions. Kind of like the Finalissima, where the South American Copa America winner played against the UEFA Euros winner, which was, Argentina versus Italy. Now, the Barcelona under-20 squad that Giuliano Belletti put together unfortunately lost. They lost in penalty kicks. But nonetheless, Jean Virgili completely went off during that match, which not only has increased his value, but has also, prompted Barcelona to send them a clear message. Now, I do want to review with you guys his goal. Now, there was other plays, but I do want you to see his goal. But let me see. Let's do a screen share. So here's his goal. I'm going to make this bigger. No sound, obviously, but this is Jean Virgili. Let's watch his goal, because he gets a pass. Bloop. Takes on that guy. Takes on that guy. Bam. Beautiful goal. I'm going to replay it again. That's a pass to Virgili. Look at that. Pop. There's one. Pop. 2. And 3. Well, 4 if you count the goalie. Beautiful goal by Jean Virgili. There were other very impressive plays. If you want to see them, you can watch the highlights. But here, I want to see it again, because this is a really good goal. Blah. There's 1. There's 2. 3. And 4. Beautiful goal by Jean Virgili. And this, of course, has not only increased the value of the player and now made more teams pay attention, but it's also prompted Barcelona to send them a clear message, and that is that Barcelona think that the more ideal thing for Virgili is to stay at Barca Athletic. Now, they do understand that Virgili feels like he's outgrown Barca Athletic, who are playing in 4th division. But of course, they've told him, look, yes, you have a grown 4th division, but we believe you have a lot of promise, a lot of potential. We think the best thing is for you to stay at Barca Athletic, continue growing, developing. You'll have first team chances under Flick. If Flick believes that you have what it takes, I'm sure he'll give you chances. So, we think you should stay here. Now, Virgili has, of course, been considering leaving this entire summer, because he got called up to the preseason. He was hoping that he would, start getting some minutes with the first team. But then Flick ended up sending him back down to Barca Athletic, believing that he still needed some, a little bit more work. So he didn't go to the Asia Tour. And then with Barcelona signing Rooney Bardghji and also Marcus Rashford, Virgili started seeing that maybe he's not going to be able to make it in the first team. So he started considering leaving. Mallorca were very interested in him. He was interested in leaving to Mallorca, but Mallorca were on like alone, and Barcelona were like, you can have him, but you're going to have to pay. So Mallorca was like, sorry, we're broke. So that didn't happen. So Barcelona are really hoping that Virgili stays. We'll see if he does or not. I really hope he does too, because just because he's not ready for the first team now doesn't mean that he won't be in the future. So we'll have to wait and see. The ball is in Virgili's court. Barcelona have made their position clear. We'll see what the player decides. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we are gonna talk about the surprising, shocking, last-minute signing that Barcelona are hoping to make. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Let's say Rufus says, hello, Mo. I'm from Liberia. I just want to tell you thank you so much. No, thank you, my friend, for watching and for your comment. And Mick Barca, my man Mick Barca. By the way, Mick Barca is an OG channel subscriber. He has been around for a very, very long time, all the way from the beginning, always on the podcast, always leaving comments. But Mick Barca says the board keep its scary secrets because the promises made in 2022-2023 season are not met, and even worse, those promises will be met by 23-24. Example, 1-for-1 and a Camp No return. I agree with you, my friend. Again, my problem with the board has always been the lies. There's no need to lie to us. Like I said about the stadium a million times, it's not about the delays. It's a major construction project. All major construction projects have delays. That's as, they say there's only two things in life that are certain, and that's death and taxes. Well, when it comes to major construction projects, you can add a third thing, which is, delays. That's anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. It's not about the delays. It's about the lies, right? If we know that construction projects are going to have delays, why would you promise that we would be back November of last year? I mean, that seems like pretty ridiculous to me. This is not like, oh, we said August and we're going to be back in September. That, okay, you understand. But to go from November to September of the following year, talk about 10 months. You tell me you really messed that deadline, the timeline by that much? There's no way. That means you were just lying out of your ass, which, by the way, Laporta has already admitted that he was lying out of his ass. He literally said it in his most recent interview that he was just giving out those deadlines to put pressure on the construction company. What? Like, you lied, you got caught in your lie, and now you're lying about the lies, saying, oh, no, it was just to put pressure. Yeah, because that's how shit works. Because construction companies, that's how they work. They're going and they're taking a sweet time. They're building something slowly, and then they see a tweet. Oh, wait. They just tweeted. They're going to be, we better hurry up. Like, how stupid do you think we are? Or maybe, actually, I take that back. There are pretty stupid people out there who believe every fucking lie Laporta says. I mean, I see it every day in the comment section, people defending him regardless how many times he has lied to their faces, and it's been shown that he's lied to their faces. So I guess Laporta doesn't think we're stupid. I think there are stupid people out there who believe everything he says. But so again, the problem is the lies. It's not the delays, But unfortunately, I think Laporta's gotten so used to constantly relying on his charisma and getting away with his lies and his charisma that at this point it's just second nature. What's another lie? Fuck it. Carlos says, why are we making a big deal with not being able to register Rooney? But Mastantuono can play and be registered with Castilla. This really pisses me off. 2 million versus 60 million. Absolutely. I think, again, what Madrid are doing is absolute fraud. Registering Mastantuono as a Barca Athletic, as a Castilla player is clear fraud. There's no way you're telling me that Mastantuono is a Castilla player. Nobody in the history of football has ever paid 60 million euros for a reserve team signing. When have you ever seen that? So it's clear that he's a first team signing being registered as a reserve team signing, which is clear fraud. The rules prohibit it. But nobody bats an eye because nobody has the balls to say anything to Madrid or punish Madrid. I mean, look at Osasuna, all the problems that they caused with Iñigo Martinez, even though the rules were clear. That Iñigo Martinez had been released by the Spanish national team, and therefore he didn't break any rules when he played against them. But here we have a clear rule violation, and Osasuna's like, oh, no, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to say anything. I don't know. I didn't see anything. Did you see anything? Because nobody has the balls. Why? Because Florentino Perez is one of the most powerful people in Spain. And I don't mean in the football world. I mean in Spanish politics. He's incredibly rich. He's incredibly powerful. This everybody knows that Santiago Bernabeu is where laws are made. You know how they talk about how the golf course, a lot of business deals get struck in Spain. Laws get agreed on and deals are agreed on at the Bernabeu because that's the center of power, political and financial power. But morons want to come here to the channel and tell me, oh, Negreira, oh, Barcelona get favored. Well, you clearly don't know, you know, anything about Spanish politics or Spanish history for that reason, because anyone with the smallest amount of knowledge would tell you that there's no fucking way that Barcelona gets favored in anything, because the seat of power is Madrid, but the Bernabeu is the place for where the political and financial elites meet, and where Florentino Perez is one of the most powerful people in Spain. So, but anyways, stupidities everywhere, guys. Shin says, somewhat positive news on the stadium. I hope it comes to pass. Also, watched Everton play Brighton yesterday in their new stadium, and it's nice. All right. I didn't even know they had a new stadium. But that's pretty cool. I got to start watching the Premier League. During the Moncast, I asked people, who should I start following in the Premier League? Because I never watched the Premier League. And when I mean following, I don't mean become a fan. Because, you know, I'm only ever going to be a fan of FC Barcelona. But I do want to start watching more Premier League. So, guys, chime in. Let me know. What team should I follow? Should it be Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Newcastle? I don't know. Whoever you want to guys suggest, let me know in the chat section. And with that, let's get back to the news. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona are plotting a surprising, shocking, last-minute signing. And it's no other than a player I mentioned previously on the channel, whose name is Eta Ayong. Now, if you don't remember Eta Ayong, I talked about him in a previous video. He's a player that Barcelona have been tracking for quite some time. He is 20 years old. He's a striker who currently plays for Villarreal. And he is a very promising striker in La Liga. Big, strong, physical, fast, has a good eye for goal, combines well with his teammates, has been making shockwaves for Villarreal's reserve team, and he's been attracting a lot of attention in La Liga, including from teams like Real Betis, Real Sociedad, Levante, and even Real Oviedo, who have all reached out to Villarreal saying, hey, what's going on with this guy? Can we sign him? But not only has Eta Ayong caught attention of La Liga teams, he also has some teams in the Premier League inquiring about him because, again, incredibly promising striker currently in the Spanish league. Now, Barcelona have been tracking him for quite some time. They have very positive reports of him. And come to find out, his release clause only sits at 10 million euros. So Barcelona see this as a great opportunity to sign someone who could potentially become Barcelona's future number 9, especially since next summer Lewandowski will be leaving the club. And they believe that the 10 million euro release clause is way below his potential value. Kind of like a Joan Garcia situation, where Joan Garcia was, you know, the best goalkeeper, up-and-coming goalkeeper in La Liga, and he only had a release clause of 25 mil. Barcelona thought, look, 25 mil for this guy, that's not a lot. If we were to sign him, you know, without a release clause, he would probably cost 50 or 60. Well, Barcelona believe the same thing about Eta Ayong. They think 10 million euros is very low, that he has a lot of potential. He's valued a lot more. So they're now considering and planning on paying that 10 million euro release clause to sign Eta Ayong from Villarreal. Now, what's the problem? The problem is Eta Ayong doesn't want to leave Villarreal. So right now, Barcelona are working on convincing Eta Ayong to agree to this. Because remember, as I've said multiple times, people are like, why don't we just, pay release clause? Why? Players have to agree too, right? These players are not slaves. They're not chattel. They have to agree. So you can't just go to a club and be like, here's the release clause, I'm taking the player. The player has to agree to go with you. You can't kidnap people, right? So right now, Eta Ayong is not willing to leave. So Barcelona are working on convincing him. And if he agrees, then Barcelona will activate his 10 million euro release clause. Now, of course, the big looming question, Mo, how are Barcelona going to register Eta Ayong? They can't even register the players we've already signed. Well, the plan is that upon the activation of the release clause, if the player agrees, again, if the player agrees, if the player agrees, would be to immediately loan him out. That would be the plan. That way they don't have to worry about registration. And that way he can continue growing, developing, and then hopefully next summer, who knows, he can maybe come back to Barcelona and, do some damage. Now, what I'm curious about when I read this report is, as far as I know, when you sign a player, you have to register him first before you send him out on loan. That's my understanding of the financial fair play. So if Barcelona are planning to sign a young and loan him out immediately, my understanding is that Barcelona would have to register him first and then loan him out, which would still pose a registration problem. Unless Barcelona think that they can register him and immediately release him. I don't know. But that's the report. Barcelona planning to activate the release clause, Vete Young, and immediately register him. Maybe they know something I don't. Maybe there's some kind of exception in the financial fair play rules that I don't know about. But my understanding is you have to register a player before you release him, even though you're releasing him immediately. Which, of course, to me, I think it's a stupid rule. Why would you register someone and have to clear enough space on your wage bill to register that someone if later on immediately you got to release them and then immediately release that space off your wage bill? That to me doesn't make sense. But I'm no financial fair play expert. I just tell you what I know and what I research. Anyways, let me know you guys' thoughts about this potential signing. Again, the player has to agree before we can do anything. And let me know if you would like me to do a reaction video to his highlights. And we might even have to do a reaction video to the next player's highlights because there's another player that Barcelona currently tracking. But of course, let's do the comment section first, and then we are going to talk about it. Samia says, Mo, have a look at the wage bill. It is a mess. No one at the club should be above 200K. Can't expect to sell well with wages like that. Are you talking about 200K a month, a week, a year? Because, 200K a year, obviously that's, I think the water boy at Barcelona makes that. But anyways, let me see. Kenneth says, hi, Mo, I'm from Suriname. I hope Barca get the green light to go back to the Camp Nou. I hope so too, my friend. I really miss our stadium. Plus, again, we need the money. And we need the one-to-one rule. We need the auditor to say you're good to go and no seats. Real Football 11 says, you are the lawyer, Mo. Don't you think there are some legal ways they might try to stop us from going back to Camp Nou? I mean, it is all legal ways, right? The rule, the inspections, the permits, all that is legal rules. There are laws, there are city codes that require certain things to be met, certain codes to be met, certain requirements to be met in order for a building to be granted a permit so you can operate it or you can welcome the public in it, right? And that's all done with safety in mind, right? To make sure that people don't die, right? To make sure if there's a fire, if there's an emergency, people don't get trampled, people can't escape, people are not trapped and burned, right? These codes came into existence based on our lessons from the past, where there have been stadiums that have collapsed, entire sections have collapsed, of stadiums where people have trampled each other because they could not exit when there was an emergency, or there have been instances where people have burned alive in stadiums because there was no proper emergency exits. So these codes come to be for safety of people because we've learned those lessons. So they literally are legal ways. Chuchu says, Virgili is decent, but he doesn't seem like a really talented player, mid-table team talent as best. I don't know, man. I think he shows promise. I don't know if that promise won't go anywhere. Sometimes players do show a lot of promise when they're in academy or reserve teams, and then, it turns out it was just they were much better than the people at their level, but not necessarily at people in the first division. But I wouldn't say mid-table team right now. I think it's too early for that. But we'll see. Oh, and Shin with the donation. I'm sorry, my friend. I didn't see your donation. But very, very generous donation. Thank you so much, Shin, for always supporting the channel and for your incredible generosity. But Shin says, I will respect an informed Mbappe, but never fear him. I'll respect an informed Madrid, but never fear them. I'll respect the PSG, Bayern, Liverpool, etc., but never fear them. We are Barca, we are the Blaugrana, and these colors will never bleed. Amen, my friend. Very well said. I guess you are right. We shouldn't fear them, but I do have to say Mbappe is looking like he's looking on fire, man. Since the second half of last season, he has been on fire. He's definitely been activated. It looks like he's still building upon that this season. Let's just hope that Madrid don't become actually playing like a team, because as long as Mbappe is the only one doing great and killing it, that's not a problem. If you shut down Mbappe, you shut down all of Madrid. But then if the whole team starts working, then you have bigger problems, right? Because now it's like you shut down one guy, you have to worry about another. This is why I love Hansi Flick's Barca, because the whole team is doing great. The whole team is playing as a whole. You shut down, you send 2-3 people to mark Lamine, you still got Rafinha there. You send 2-3 people to mark Rafinha. Oh, we got, Pedri. If you try to shut him down, you got, Lewy or Ferran or Olmo or Fermin or Gabi, or Kunde or Balde. It's like you just can't, right? But with Madrid, you double mark Mbappe and you're good, because the rest of the team is absolute shit. It's a fucking disaster. But yeah, it's definitely not the Mbappe from the first half of last season. I'll say that. But thank you, my friend, for your donation. Thank you for your generosity. Let's do one more comment, and then we'll do the last bit of news. And Nima says, I can't wait to see Rooney in the first team. Amen, my friend. Amen. Oh, wait. We have some suggestions here on who I should be following in the Premier League. Suf says Arsenal. Okay. The Jeff says Man City. Okay. Seymour says Newcastle. All right. And Chuchu says, honestly, Premier League standards of play is better than La Liga right now, except you watching Real Madrid or Barcelona. I agree. It's more competitive for sure. Let me see if there's more. Jay says Leeds. Okay. Leeds United. All right. All right. Let me see. Let me see if I can see some more suggestions on who I should follow in the Premier League. I don't think I see any more. But pretty much you guys have me where I was, square one, not knowing which team to follow, because each one of you had a different suggestion. I was leaning maybe towards Liverpool, just because I'm interested to see how Florian Wirtz is going to do in the Premier. So I don't know, maybe a Liverpool. We'll see. But with that, let's get back to the news. Let's do the last bit of news, and then we'll do more comments, I promise. But let's talk about a new player that Barcelona currently eyeing. Not Etayon, because we already talked about him. But instead, his name is Ian Subiabre. I think that's how you say his last name. We'll just call him Ian for this segment. But if you don't know who Ian is, he is a winger, 18-year-old left-footed winger who currently plows his trade at River Plate in Argentinian First Division. Now, Ian Subiabre is someone that can operate on both wings, so both on the right, on the left. He is renowned for his dribbling skills. I haven't seen highlights yet, but that's what I've read, that he's an incredible dribbler. So maybe we should do a reactions video to him too, not just Etayon. And his release clause currently sits at $30 million, which in euros is 25.6 million euros, which is not bad. It's not 65 million for Vitor Roque. It's 25 million euros for the 18-year-old left-footed winger. Now, currently, he has already played 18 matches for River Plate's first team. And in those matches, he's already catching the attention of some of the major European clubs, including PSG. And, well, you can guess the next one. You ready? Chelsea, of course. Because if you have a heartbeat, if you are alive, and you have two legs, you're most likely being scouted and tracked by Chelsea. Now, Ian has a contract until 2028 with River Plate, but again, it doesn't matter because he has a 25 million euro release clause, and Barcelona are planning to send scouts to the Under-20 World Cup to watch him. As you know, there's an Under-20 World Cup that is set to start in September, mid-September. I think it's September 27th, if I remember correctly. And it's going to run through October. It's going to be in Chile, in South America. So Barcelona will be sending scouts, well, to just watch in general some young talent and see if there's anyone promising. But more specifically, they're going to be keeping a close eye on Ian Subiabre, who again is looking very promising. Already has the attention of some of the big European clubs, and Barcelona want to track him closely. Now, if Barcelona decide on this signing, it's not going to be this summer. Barcelona cannot afford to pay, 25 million euros for Subiabre, especially if they're planning to pay the 10 million euros for Eta Young. So this will be more of a future bet. Maybe in the winter transfer market, maybe next summer. Definitely not this summer, but definitely Barcelona will be sending scouts to watch Ian Subiabre up close because they are interested in the River Plate gem or River Plate sensation. Now, let me know in the chat section if you would like me to do a reaction video to Ian Subiabre and, of course, Eta Young, which we just discussed. Now, that is all the news for this podcast. Let's do more comments, and then we shall end this. Not like ending someone's life, but like, hitting end broadcast. Let's see. By the way, I'm totally craving chicken wings right now. I don't know why. All of a sudden, it just hit me. Let's see. The Jeff says, don't follow Arsenal. They have the most annoying fan base here in England. Follow our legend at Pep at Man City. I'm okay not following Arsenal, but I don't know if I'm okay following Man City. Don't get me wrong. I love Pep. I will always think he's the greatest coach ever in the history of football. He is the Messi of coaching. But I just can never get into Man City. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the ugly, light blue, baby blue kits. I don't know what it is. Or maybe because it's just a club there's not really much history there or tradition. It's more like they got bought by, oil money, and then they just went on a crazy signing spree. Even though, believe it or not, they've actually spent, in the last few years, they've spent less than their counterparts. But I don't know. I just could never get into it. The only times I've watched Man City is when they played either like against Barca or like maybe, I think that's it actually. Maybe I watched them once against Madrid, but I can never get into Man City. I don't know. I think Liverpool sounds like a good team to follow. Again, just to follow. I'm not going to become a fan of any of these teams. I have no connection to them. I will always be a FC Barcelona fan only. I don't think my heart has space for another club because this club gives us plenty of heartache. The same way it gives us a lot of happiness, also gives a lot of heartache. So there's just no space for another club. Chuchu says, Mo, can you follow the first football team I ever supported, even though it's going to come with loads of heartaches? Leeds United. Okay, maybe I could check them out. Leeds United. I don't think I ever see Leeds United, even like for a second. But maybe what I need to do is go to England and visit, a bunch of stadiums and watch a bunch of matches, and maybe then I'll be like, all right, I kind of feel some connection with this team or that one. Maybe, of course, that would be a very expensive thing to do, but it could be done. Well, at least I hope. Shin says we couldn't even register a new kitman right now. Yeah. If Barcelona hired a new janitor, the janitor would be like, they'll be like, all right, sorry, bro, you can't clean right now because we can't register you. So just go home, wait for us to give you a call. Can you imagine if you had to register janitors or like towel boys or whatever? Carla says, you're right with the loan rule. That's why we can't loan Rooney. Yeah, that's as far as I understand it. So I don't know how Barca are planning to loan out Eta immediately unless they reach some kind of agreement where he would stay at Villarreal, but he would sign for Barca. I don't know. There must be some kind of exception that I'm just not aware of. Because as far as I understand, when you sign a player, you have to register him, even if you plan to loan him out immediately. Anelson says, what's up, Mo? Big fan from Angola. Just want to let you know that I never miss any of your news or podcasts. Keep it up, man. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your comment. Let's see. McBarca says, I have a feeling the only combination that can stop Barca is a fatigued Barca combined by bad refs because nobody beating fully fit Barca. I agree. I think I do agree with that. And bad luck, right? Because I truly believe that we lost against Inter last season because of bad luck. Lamine hit the post twice. That's bad luck. If just one of those would have went in, that's it. We're through. Um, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. The goalkeeper, Inter Milan's goalkeeper. Whatever his name is irrelevant. He had probably the best match of his career. He had some incredible saves. He misses any of those saves, and again, we're through. The ref was an absolute shit show. Again, bad luck right there. I think it was really mostly due to bad luck, which happens, That's football. That's life. Sometimes, just bad luck. Sulaiman says, we know Mbappe will score goals, but as long as we play together, team, fuck them, Bisca Barca. Amen, my friend. Amen. A team will always beat one guy. So, as long as Mbappe can be on fire as much as he wants, if the rest of the team continues to be shit, there's not much to worry about because, 11 players will always beat one. And Leo Ford says, hey, Mo, what's the point of tracking other players when we can't register the ones we got? Because you have to keep track of what's out there, of what's going on. You can't just be like, oh, well, we can't register, we're done, no scouts, call everybody back home, we're not doing anything, we're not watching everyone. You still have to be aware of what's out there. That way, when you can't register, when you can't sign, you know what to sign. It's not like, okay, all right, we got money now. Who should we sign? Oh, I don't know. I haven't been watching the market. I don't know what's going on. Oh, shit. All right, let's start watching. Let's start figuring out what's out there. Oh, wait, too late now because the market closed. You can't just stop doing your work because, had we stopped scouting and figuring out what's out there, we would have never found out about Rooney Bardarji, right? So you can't just stop your work. You have to keep track of what's out there, of what's going on. So when you do have a chance, oh, we signed a new sponsorship. Okay, cool. We got some extra money. Maybe we could go spend it. Oh, wait, I don't know what's going on out there because I decided to just call it quits and go home. Doesn't work like that. Nicholas says City. Emmanuel says Brighton. Mick Barca says Tottenham. Nathan says Chelsea. Okay. Choo-Choo still insisting on Leeds United. Jeremiah saying Man City. Okay, some options there. Prof says, hello Mo, Justice Boyer from the Gambia. Laporta should really leave now as he is just disappointing to us now. He did great, but nowadays messing up everything. Again, I don't believe in presidents leaving halfway through their terms. I think it's better to just, complete the term and then let the voters decide. Because, when you leave midterm, it just causes more disruption, more harm than good. Unless, of course, they're doing something absolutely egregious like stealing or something, then yeah, you need to force him out. But in the case of Laporta, he's a lot of blunders, but I don't think it's enough to kick him out halfway through his presidency. Nana says Villarreal is one of the teams to watch out this season. The Yellow Submarine. Yeah. By the way, I went to Villarreal Stadium. They actually have a decent stadium given the size of their town. So Villarreal population is, I think, 50,000 people or 60,000 people. It's an incredibly small town. And their stadium has a capacity of 55,000 people. So you could fit the whole town of Villarreal in their stadium, La Cerámica. So I went, I think this was 2 years ago. I was in Barcelona for a wedding for a friend that I went to college with. She was getting married. And I was literally on the plane, about to take off. I was on the tarmac. And then I'm texting with some friends. And I was like, oh, man, Barcelona's playing away. That sucks. I would have loved to see them play, And then my friend says, dude, they're playing at Villarreal. It's close. Just go. And I'm like, should I? So I had no idea how far Villarreal was. So I started Googling. I was like, oh, it's only I think it was like an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hour train ride from Barcelona. I was like, oh shit, I should. So I'm like Googling how to buy tickets, going into their website. The plane is literally moving. And I'm like, damn, I got to finish this quick before it takes off and I lose signal. So I'm like, all right, buy ticket. I finished buying and literally the plane starts taking off and I lose my signal. So I ended up going, literally woke up super early, like 6 or 7 in the morning when I was in Barcelona. Took the train, went to Villarreal, had lunch, went to the match. Really cool atmosphere. Barcelona won, I think. This was like Xavi era. We were down. That's when we were like up to 0, and then they were up 3-2, and then we eventually won 4-3 or 4-2. I can't remember, something like that. It was a really cool experience. And then, I came back to the train station, missed my train because you had to take 2 trains, a local one, then an express one. Made it to the station. I thought I had missed my main train back to Barcelona. I was looking for hotels, trying to figure out where I'm going to stay. Turns out that train was delayed too, so I ended up making it. Ended up getting back to my hotel like at midnight, and the wedding was literally the next day, so I was super tired. But it was a great experience. It was a really great experience. Tiny town, and literally they could fit the whole town in a stadium. Really cool town, though. It was a ghost town because it was a Sunday. There was not a single person out except for the fans going to the match. It was really cool. Shin says, Mo, do not forget to send an invite to the next member you want to highlight on the MoCast for Saturday. I will be your Huckleberry and drop a reminder every podcast till you do. Thank you, my friend, for the reminder. By the way, speaking of, Thursday evening, I'm going on a trip, last minute Memorial Day week. No, Labor Day. Is it Labor Day? Yeah, Memorial is. I always confuse it. It's Labor Day. Anyways, for those of you who don't live in the U.S., next Monday is Labor Day. It's one of the very few days that we get off here in the U.S. So I'm going to go on a trip. Thursday, I'm leaving on a trip. So I won't be doing the MoCast on Saturday. I won't be doing a watch-along on the weekend either. No podcast on Friday. But of course, as always, when I travel, I take my camera with me, and I still do videos. So I'm still gonna be making at least 2 videos every day with news. There just won't be any podcasts or watch-alongs or etc. or the MoCast. But thank you for the reminder, my friend. And Chucho says, honestly, Mo, Pep is losing it. That City team is going to be destroyed this season. I think they just need fresh blood, At some point, regardless of how great you are as a coach, eventually you need to leave and go to a new team, and the players need a new coach. I truly believe that. And, City is a perfect example. Earl says, Mo is just a Premier League glory hunter. No, I'm not. I just want to watch it. Jeff says, most City fans support Barca. The rest hate Barca, especially Chelsea, then Arsenal. Okay. So no Chelsea, no Arsenal then. I can't be, following a team whose fans hate Barca. I don't know. Shin says, Coutinho came from Leeds. There's your connection. True. He did. But had Coutinho not helped Leeds remain in first division, he would have cost, what was his release clause at? 20 mil if Leeds got relegated to second division. But instead we had to pay 60. Fucking Coutinho. He had to save them, Man. Sneaky Ninja says, Mo, wait till you can't register plumbers and we have a clogged toilet crisis in Barca. I hope not, my friend. That would be a pretty shitty situation. Pun intended. Nima says, if Man United can't get back even close to their glory days, a United-Liverpool rivalry would be fun to watch again. True. Chuchu says, the man went to final and conceded 4 or 5. It's about Peppo. Axel says, I don't know if there is any sport more cool than football. The good guys don't always win, and the stories never have happy endings. I think that's all sports, my friend. I think that's all sports. And Matamati says, Mo, how can I become a member? You hit the join button. Actually, let's do this together, because I know I get this question a lot. Let's see. We're going to share my screen. All right, here we go. Wait, let me... Bam. Where did you guys go? I opened a new browser and you guys disappeared on me. There we go. Okay. So let's do this together since I've gotten this question a lot before. Let's go to our share screen. And... Wait. Maybe... Okay. So... If you... Okay, now my other browser is freezing on me. That is awesome. Thanks a lot, browser. Here, let me open this instead. Okay. So, let me open YouTube. Let me go to my channel and let me do this. How do I stop this from? Oh, right here. Stop sharing. Duh. Okay. Now, share screen. So, if you. Which one is that one? Oh, right here. Is that it? Yeah, I think. So, if you go to Barca News and you go to the home tab, right here next to subscribe, there's join. You click join, and voila. And that's it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, let's see. Let's do a couple more comments, and then we'll end this. Carlos says, were you wearing your Barca jersey for the Villarreal match? If so, was it intimidating since opposing teams can be violent? I did not, only because I wanted to, just didn't want extra attention. I was in Spain. I have a rule when I travel. I avoid fights. Not because, I don't want to. Well, usually I always avoid fights. But more so when you're in a foreign country because you definitely don't want to go to jail in a foreign country where you don't know what the laws are, you don't know where your help resources are or whatever. But I usually avoid fights, period, but more so in a foreign country. So I wanted to avoid any kind of trouble. So I didn't wear my jersey. I just went with plain clothes and just chilling, wasn't even chanting or anything. Actually, I'm lying. Outside the stadium, there was a big group. There was a bar that was full of Barca fans, and they were all singing and chanting. I did join that. But the whole time we were there, we were literally surrounded by police, by riot police. And they were just like watching our every move. But, the crowd was fine. It didn't get too rowdy. The police did arrest a few people. But it was mostly, some of them were like smoking weed. They told this guy like turn that off, and he kept doing it. So the cop was like, all right, let's go. And they took him, and a couple of people they were too drunk. The police took them, but not to arrest them. I think it was just like to separate them. But overall, it was fine. But no, I didn't wear my kit. McBarca says EPL fans are the funniest. You see a United fan trolling an Arsenal fan, even though Arsenal are miles ahead. That's funny because I remember this guy used to come here. He was a Tottenham fan, and he used to troll like on the channel. And I was like, but you're a Tottenham fan. You see the irony of not just making fun of Barca, because obviously Barca are miles and miles ahead of Tottenham, but you shouldn't be making fun of anyone. Period. You're a Tottenham fan. You see, like, the irony in that. I never understood that. But Street Fighter says, puedes deletrear el nombre del último chico. I got you, my friend. I got you. Street Fighter is asking for me to spell the name of the River Plate sensation. And since I can't, actually write anything here, I'm going to... Are you ready? I'm getting ready for the PL. His name is Ian. I'm going to just Google him for you so you have his name. Let's see. Right here. Ian Subiabre. So I'm going to share my screen with you again. And voila. Right here. That's how you spell his name. Ian, Ian, Subiabre. Subiabre. 18 years old. From Comodoro, Rivadavia. Yo, even his place of birth has a funky ass name. Like Subiabre, Comodoro, Rivadavia. Like, what the fuck is going on in Argentina? I don't know. 1.71 meters, or 171 centimeters. Argentina under 20. 6 goals. No, 6 caps, 3 goals. Has a value of 1.2 mil. Plays for River Plate. There he is. He could mostly plays on the right, but can also play on the left. And even as a center forward. Oh, he's also Chilean. Interesting. That I did not know. But I guess he chose Argentina as his national squad. I mean, I don't think he's debuted for the first team or the senior team of Argentina, so he could always change. And there it is. That's the guy, Ian Subiabre. I hope that helps. Let's see. Oh, wait. I never changed the comment. I never hit the comment and showed Street Fighter's comment. Sorry about that. Last one, but Ezekiel says, "Hi, Mo. Good morning. Good morning to you, my friend. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for joining. And with that, let's end the live stream because I got nothing more to say. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. There is no more news videos because there isn't more news, but I'm thinking of maybe doing a reaction video either to Eta Ayong or to Ian Subiadre. So I might be posting that later tonight. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.